Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the I.M.A.G.E TV podcast. And I've got something that's going to rock your socks this evening. We've got Polk County attorney candidate Kimberly Graham coming on the show. She's going to talk to us about what she's going to do if she's elected as Des Moines Polk County attorney. Now, in many, many years past, I believe that the Des Moines community has fell asleep when it comes to getting involved with who's going to be our new Polk County attorney. I believe that when John Sarcone was elected, none of us really had a clue. None of us really got out there and voted. None of us paid attention until it seemed like all hell broke loose in the Polk County courthouse. And I'm mainly talking not just about the war on drugs, but many other things. And I feel that we as a community need to come together. We need to learn and understand who our new Polk County attorney is going to be. And that's why I invited Kimberly Graham on the I.M.A.G.E TV podcast. Stay tuned as we learn more about what Kimberly plans to do if she's elected. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, on the I.M.A.G.E TV podcast. And episode 24 blasts off with a wonderful guest, a very important guest to the Des Moines, Iowa community. We've got Kimberly Graham, Polk County attorney candidate. Kimberly, it is a pleasure to have you on the I.M.A.G.E TV podcast with us.
Well, thank you. I'm very, very honored to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
So I want to start off, Kimberly, kind of letting the viewers know a little bit about you, a little bit about what you are actually running for, and kind of just give us a breakdown of what the county attorney's position is and why is this important, particularly in Des Moines, Iowa, and just in general.
Yeah. So we have not had a contested Polk County attorney election in 30 years. John Sarcone has been our county attorney for 30 years. And this is a really, really important position because really in our American justice system, the rubber meets the road in the county attorney's office. That is where decisions are made as to who gets charged with what crime, what kind of sentence is recommended, whether there's going to be a plea bargain offer, whether there's not going to be a plea bargain offer, whether somebody's going to be offered some kind of diversion program to avoid giving them a criminal history, and on and on. All of those decisions are made by the county attorney. And the county attorney is an elected position. A lot of people don't even know that it's an elected position because we haven't really talked about it much in 30 years. And that is the top law enforcement official in Polk County. And so it's critically important. And that person sets policy and manages the office. They, although I've been a trial attorney for 22 years and I've spent a lot of time in courtrooms in the Polk County courthouse, that's not this job. This job is a management and policy position and also an advocacy position to advocate for those things that actually make our communities safer. So it's just critically important, and it's really important that we choose someone, I believe, who's aware that our justice system is at least 30 or 40 years behind where it needs to be, and somebody who has a good knowledge of both racial and income disparities in our justice system and about how many ways we can improve it and how quickly we need to improve it.
I think that that's really good that you bring out our justice system is about 30, 40 years behind. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes. So, in many other developed nations, they just do things a lot differently. And one of those areas where they do things a lot differently circles back to this war on drugs that I'm sure everyone's heard of from back in the Nixon era is when that all started. But it's been carried through by both Democratic and Republican presidents and administrations. And this is this idea that drug addiction or drug use or whatever you want to label it should be punished. It's something that we should incarcerate people for, rather than treating it as a public health issue. And there's a lot of developed nations around the world who are treating the whole drug issue as a public health issue and not as an issue for which people should be incarcerated or punished.
That's really good that you bring that up. Now, most of us know about Polk County and Des Moines, Iowa, and Iowa in general, and how they lock people up. The war on drugs, how it's been considered to be a failure, and it still seems like it's going on. I mean, they're still locking people up. They're still giving people life in prison. I mean, even myself, I served 11 consecutive years for nonviolent drug convictions, crack cocaine. And while prison was life-changing and humiliating, it was also, I feel that it from the flip side, it was unjust. And I don't want other people to have to experience that. I think that when you look at Iowa as being one of the safest places to live in the country, I think it's up there in the top 5. Am I correct?
I'm actually I'm not sure where we're ranking right now, to be honest, but we'll find out.
Okay. And, I would imagine that they would give a lot of credit probably to like the Polk County attorneys, the state attorneys for their prosecution and being tough on crime. However, I feel that, just like you said earlier, the war on drugs, there needs to be changes in that area. What do you plan to do if you are elected when it comes to these issues, as far as not only the war on drugs, but other issues?
Yeah, and there's a long list, so I'll just hit on a few. And this is of course a super long conversation, so I'm going to try not to get too long-winded. But there's a lot of things that we can do, and one of the first things, and one of the, to me, very easiest sort of calls to make is to no longer prosecute low-level possession of marijuana. I think that is a waste of our time. We only have so much budget in the Polk County Attorney's Office, and we only have so many assistant, line county attorneys who can do the prosecutions in those courtrooms. And I want to focus on serious and violent crime, those crimes that are actually making people physically unsafe in Polk County, so that we can actually make Polk County safer while at the same time we have significant justice reform. One doesn't preclude the other. It's not like if we have one, then we can't have the other. One actually leads to the other. When we have more real justice, we're going to have more real peace in our communities. And so stopping the prosecution of low-level possession of marijuana and these low-level nonviolent crimes gives us the resources to then put into other things that we need to be focused on. For example, in the year 2018, which is one year that we've been able to get statistics for, there were only 50 sexual assault cases in Polk County that were brought, and out of those, there were 0 trials. None of those cases went to trial. Every one of them was plea bargained out or dismissed or disposed of in some other way. And maybe those were all valid. I can't see what the cases were to get into those individual cases. But I find it really hard to believe in a county of almost 500,000 people that there weren't more sexual assault cases, that they weren't more aggressively prosecuted, and that we're not actually working to make people in Polk County physically safer. And that this kind of ties into another issue here that I'll bring up to tell folks about here. So when somebody's sexually assaulted, hopefully, if they come forward and they go to the hospital, there's going to be some DNA evidence collected, usually at the hospital, and that box of evidence, and they collect hair samples and DNA samples and fluid samples and all kinds of stuff. It's called the shorthand that we call it is an evidence kit. Some people call it a rape kit. That's kind of the term that a lot of people use for it. Well, back in 2018, Iowa had a backlog of those rape kits, over 4,000. We had over 4,000 rape kits that had been collected, but those were sitting on a shelf and they had never even been tested. And what we are able to do with those kits is test them, match the DNA to the federal registry, and then sometimes we're able to go find those perpetrators and get them off the street, which actually makes us safer. And the thing about the sexual crimes of violence is that there's a large percentage of those that are serial rapists, that are serial sexual assaulters. They're going to do it over and over and over and over until they're caught. And so when we test those rape kits, we're able to get those people sometimes off the street. And we had a backlog of over 4,000 kits back in 2018. Now, I will tell you that this became known and that there became a big movement, and the federal government came through with several $1 million in funding to get through that backlog. And now the best information I can find, it seems like we're down to a few hundred that have now not been processed. But that funding runs out, I believe, in either 2022 or 2023. I can't remember right now. Then what are we going to do? Like, we need to make sure that never happens again, that those kids get tested timely. And that's the kind of thing I talk about, where if we let these low-level nonviolent crimes, if we don't prosecute them and don't focus on them, we maybe have the resources to go aggressively for to make people safer in ways that really matter and are meaningful.
This is really great. Hey, Kimberly, you are really making a lot of sense in what you're saying. And also, speaking of sexual offense and sexual crimes, I've come to find out that it is very, very common in families, that I never even knew about. I mean, you hear stories about these kids, these women who have grown up, and they say that they were molested by their dad or their uncle or something like that. And they kept it a secret all the way until they get older. And it kind of blows me away. And I think to myself, well, wow, how is it that this stuff continues to keep going on and on and on? And I think that we need to spend more time, concentrating on things like that in what you're saying, because these type of issues are what makes people dysfunctional once they grow up and become older or mature or in their adult ages. Now, Kimberly, we got to go to a real quick break, but I encourage everyone that's tuned in right now to the I.M.A.G.E TV podcast. We've got Kimberly Graham, Polk County attorney candidate. We'll be right back after these messages. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. You're locked and loaded into the I.M.A.G.E TV podcast. We got Kimberly Graham, Polk County attorney candidate, and we've been talking about some real good, important stuff. We encourage you this season to get out there and vote. Make sure that you cast your vote. It's very important. We need to get involved with who our Polk County attorney is going to be. Everyone in Des Moines, Iowa, I hope that you're paying attention right now, because when John Sarcone came into office, I think it kind of took us by surprise. No one really got involved. And then all of a sudden, we seen all hell break loose. So we want to make sure that we're getting involved, we're learning, we're listening. And if you've got any questions, reach out to Kimberly Graham. Kimberly, are you still there?
I am.
All right. Great. Now, I've got one more topic that I want to bring up that I personally want to talk about, and then you can also get involved with or talk about whatever you want. But Iowa, the state of Iowa, being ranked, I believe, top number one in racial disparity for juveniles. Is that correct? Let's talk about
Yes. Yes. So a study just came out within the last month, and I apologize, I don't recall the name of it off the top of my head, but you can Google it and find it yourself. That ranked Iowa as the worst for racial disparities within the juvenile justice system of any state. Which, I mean, I didn't think we'd be doing great, but I didn't even think we'd be ranked last, and we certainly were. And so, and this is also borne out by studies that we've done within our own state here. Back in November of 2020, and this is another report I'm looking at here. The Iowa Department of Human Rights and the Division of Criminal and Juvenile Justice Planning, their own statistical analysis center, came out with a report that's entitled "Racial Disparities: An Analysis of 3 Decision Points in Iowa's Juvenile Justice System." And for example, this is a self-analysis of our own justice system. For example, in 2019, African-American youth aged 10 to 17 were 6.5 times more likely to enter the juvenile justice system for simple misdemeanor compared to white youth. For the same crimes. We're not even talking about different crimes. We're talking about white kid commits the same crime as black kid. Black kid's 6.5 times more likely to end up in that juvenile system, whereas white kid, maybe they do a consent decree, or they somehow do a diversion, or that kid does not end up in the juvenile system. We also are still waiving children, people under 18, to adult court here in Iowa. If I'm the Polk County attorney, children, people under 18, will not be waived to adult court. Why? Well, Kimberly, what if they do something really bad? Well, you know what? Science tells us, that young people's brains, that part that controls their impulse control and things like that, it's not fully developed till they're in their early 20s. So why are we sending 16, 17-year-olds to adult prisons and trying them as adults? Those are kids, and they should be treated as kids.
Yeah, that's terrible. I know that we're talking about Polk County, but I don't know how familiar you are with Black Hawk County, but it is so terrible up there in Black Hawk County that it's just downright ridiculous. Waterloo, Iowa has got to be one of the worst in the country when it comes to prosecutorial misconduct. I mean, they are just hammering people left and right it seems like for the smallest, pettiest stuff. I mean, it's like they just get a kick and a thrill out of locking them up. And to me, I feel that that is very unjust. It's been going on for years, and it doesn't seem to stop. You talk about waiving juveniles over to adult court. It happens there probably more than any other place probably in the country. And, I think that I'm glad that we're able to just talk about this right now.
Yeah, it's important. And, the racial disparities in our justice system and also kind of connected and dovetailed with that, the income disparities. So, if you're a wealthy person and you're arrested for driving on a suspended license, right? They're going to haul you off to the jail probably, but you're going to be out in a couple hours. If you're a poor person and you get arrested for driving on a suspended license, you might have to sit in there because you don't have the money for bail for months until the disposition of your case. That isn't right. We shouldn't have 2 justice systems. And so one of the things that the county attorney has the power to do is to not request cash bail for nonviolent offenses, to have the default be that we're not going to request cash bail and we're only going to request cash bail when we need to keep the community safe. But otherwise, we're not going to request cash bail. You're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, right? So why are these people sitting in jail for months and months and months? It's the cash bail system.
Wow. Now, for those of us that are tuned in right now, for those that are locked and loaded right now into this program, Kimberly, if they feel that what you're saying is very important and they feel that you are definitely the candidate that they would like to elect for new Polk County attorney in Des Moines, Iowa, can you tell us the process that they would go about to vote for you, or is there a contact number that you have, or an email address, or some kind of contact information that they can stay in touch with you? When is the voting date for this? How do we get involved? How do we stay in touch with this?
Yes. So, yes. So this is the primary for this, and there's going to be a primary. So there's one other candidate right now, and the other candidate was hired by John Sarcone in February into the office. She's a career prosecutor. Her name's Laura Roan. She's the other candidate right now. So I encourage people to do their research. The primary is going to be on June 7th. So it's not till next year, June 7th of next year. We have a long time, but that's not really a very long time. We need to get mobilized and organized and turn out people, because a lot of people, I think, agree with what I'm saying. But folks, if you don't turn out that ballot box and you don't vote, then I'm not going to win. You got to mobilize and you got to turn out. So if you want to support the campaign in any way, if you want to knock doors for us in the spring, because we'll start knocking doors in all the neighborhoods across Polk County in the spring, and we'll be having, Zoom parties or in-person parties, hopefully, if COVID isn't as bad, and really turning out the vote and letting people know. They can go to KimberlyForIowa.com is the website. KimberlyForIowa.com is the website. Or you can always just get in touch with me by email. It's Kimberly@KimberlyForIowa.com, Kimberly@KimberlyForIowa.com. You're welcome to friend me on Facebook, on my personal Facebook page. And we also have a campaign page, which is Kimberly for Polk County, Kimberly Graham for Polk County Attorney.
Real quick, when you say Kimberly 4, are you meaning the number 4, F-O-R?
F-O-R. F-O-R. Yeah. Kimberly, Kimberly, F-O-R, Iowa.com.
Okay. Kimberly, this has really been great talking with you. I think that you've really captivated the minds of a lot of people out there. You've made some awareness. And right now, I think you're definitely the candidate that we need in office in order to make changes, in order to turn around a lot of this injustice. We are having, on behalf of the Image for Lives program, we're having a partnership barbecue cookout with Dads with a Purpose and Pastor Bell and Keith Meeks and the transitional housing units there of guys and gals coming out of prison. There'll also be a softball tournament. We invite you to come out this Sunday, get involved and mingle with some of the people, get to know some of the people. I think that this is really great. It's good conversation. Very rarely do you ever get a chance to really get involved and engage and hear conversations about prosecutors, the new prosecutor that's coming in. I mean, it's normally a touchy subject that most people don't like to talk about. They like to ignore. And so I think that this was just really important. And I'm very, very thankful that you were able to come on the Image TV podcast.
Absolutely. And I'm sure I'd love to come back later as it gets closer to the election. And I'm always happy to have conversations with anybody at any time. Even if we don't always agree, I will always listen. And that's what you do when you're a public servant. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Kimberly. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Kimberly Graham saying so long on the Image TV podcast. It's been a blast. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bobby. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. Kimberly Graham, get out there and vote, okay? This is very important for you and your children, okay? Get out there. We have to make a difference. We have to get involved and understand what's going on. We can't continue to let these kind of elections go undetected. And just because you're African American doesn't mean that you don't have any say-so or any right to get involved. As you heard Kimberly Graham talk about, she's willing to do some things and make some changes. Now, we always hear about people before they get elected, and then we always say, oh yeah, once they get elected, they never do what they're going to say. well, hey, we have to get involved. We have to take some chances. And this was your opportunity to get some understanding. So I appreciate everyone who tuned in. Again, we will be at the Evelyn K. Davis Park for the Image program. We invite everyone out this Sunday from 1 to 6 p.m. We've got DJ Hollywood. We've got Pastor Bell on the grill, and we plan to have a whole lot of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. This is Robert Pate, episode 24. We've been working hard over the last couple months, last few weeks. It's been 16-hour days, and I'm telling you, I'm deadbeat tired. But I always make time for the Image Show.